we're going to begin our spreadsheet course with an exercise in rooms. We have 7 rooms, each with a different width and length. We would like to calculate the area of each room as well as its cost, and also the total area of all the rooms and the total cost. In Microsoft Excel, each file is called a workbook, and workbook can contain a number of sheets. We can change between sheets from the lower portion of Excel screen. Each sheet contains cells. This cell here has is in eth column and in 7th row, and thus it is said to have an address E7. The first thing we would like to do in E7 is to multiply together the width and the length of the first room. Thus we will begin by typing equals. Equals tells Microsoft Excel that something has to be calculated. And now we can either type from the keyboard C7 times D7, or we can click it with the mouse. It's gonna be exactly, the result's gonna be exactly the same, 20 square meters. Our next task is to be able to copy this formula, because there are 7 rooms and we don't want to write this formula 7 times. Thus we will click inside the cell, and now we will need to go to the right lower corner of the cell and let the mouse cursor change shape to the cross sign, and then we will click and drag and it will copy the formula. Just to do it one more time, I'm going to click on undo, which is up here, and then click inside the cell just in case, and then click in the lower right corner and drag, and here it is. The formula gets copied. If for instance, if we edit, I'm going to double click inside this formula now. If we edit the formula for the third room, we can see that it now correctly multiplies together width and length, C9 and D9, and actually these 2 cells also get colored in blue and in green, just to give us a quicker overview of what is being multiplied together. Our next task is to calculate the cost of the first room. It is equals, to start the multiplication, equals 20, and now we would like to multiply it with 20 times $1,200 per 1 square meter, which means that all in all the first room will cost $24,000. Now I'm going to show what goes wrong with this exercise next. I'm going to try to copy this formula just to get the costs of all the rooms. I'm going to go once again to the lower right corner, the mouse cursor changes shape, and now I'm going to click and drag. And when we go to the, let's say, second formula, we can see that of course we wanted the blue cell here, the area of the second room, we wanted it to move down, but what we didn't want is for the green cell to move down also. Thus we will need some kind of a device for fixing this green cell for it to stay in the same place. Now I'm going to click on Control Z this time, just to show a number of things that can actually, a number of commands that can actually be given from the keyboard. And here it is, $24,000. Double click inside the formula lets us edit it. Now I click on C4, which is the green cell, and now the one let's say 1 out of 2 keystrokes to really remember from this class, to certainly remember, is that by pressing F4 key, Microsoft Excel automatically inserts dollar signs in C4 address. So it reads right now $C $4. The effect is that if now we are going to once again copy this formula, it's going to be, for instance, the third room, it's going to multiply together the blue E9 with still C4. Thus the dollar signs will fix the cell when we copy it, either up and down or to the left and to the right. Our next exercise is to calculate the total area of all the rooms that are being sold. Thus we are going to write an equals to start the calculations, and then we can write something called a function. We're going to write sum, which is the name of the function. And now in Microsoft Excel, the name of the function is always followed by parentheses. This will tell Microsoft Excel to search for such a function, which is called sum, and now do something. And next we're going to click on 20 and drag until all the column of areas has effectively been selected. And what we see now is that it writes inside the parentheses of the summation function, it writes E7 colon E13. This means that we have selected a block of cells, an entire bunch of cells called block of cells that are to be summed together. And we see that it's E7 colon E13, which means that the block begins with E7 and it ends with E13. Just to show again one thing that's not really to be done is that we can also select a block that contains not only multiple rows but also multiple columns. It's called D7 colon E13, which means that at first it marks the left upper corner of the block and then it marks the lower right corner of the block. But this block of ours only has one column. Okay, now we can close the parentheses and click on enter, and we now know that we have 168,96 square meters all in all. As far as calculations go, this is the last part of the first exercise, and then we're going to make the entire table look nicer. We now want to copy the formula to the left-right direction, what we haven't done yet. Thus, I click inside to the right lower corner and I click drag, which will show us, when we double-click inside the second formula, which will show us that not only, that also copying the entire block, the blue block from above, also works automatically. And we now know that the total cost is $202,000.